going on, everybody? Just as the sun has risen, so should our mind and our heart. Above all things, we ought to have courage. Courage is needed in times such as this. Today is a good way to transition into the new segment of experience that's going to be taking place. This new segment of experience has to do with just tips of clarity, right? Essentially, the tips of clarity is nothing more than a short snippet of information that should hopefully put you in a trajectory or into a space where you can listen in, you can tune in, you can connect, right? Very similar to a tether, if you will. Back in the day, there used to be an old phone. There used to be phones, a PDA, right? A personal smartphone device, and you would plug in a USB micro into to a laptop, essentially. You would transfer the information from the device to the laptop, and in that transferring, the communication will be connected. There would be a real synergy, because obviously, ultimately, it would create a better response than the individuals would, right? So essentially, the goal is to get you to tether in, to connect, and to really we can start this process in sharing, if you will, right? So let's jump right into it, because there's no need to continue to really pull the layers back of the introduction. The layers need to be peeled back in the content of the body of the information I'm looking to deliver, right? So today, the topic today is, are you aware? Are you aware? The topic today is, are you aware, right? So when we look at this concept of being aware, there's a few things that we have to take into consideration, especially depending on what platform you're looking through. And what I mean by that is this: if you're looking through the platform of being a parent, there's reasons to why you ought to be aware. If you're looking through the platform of being a man, there are reasons to why you ought to be aware, and those two may not necessarily match all in full conjunction. There's maybe pieces and elements, if you will, that are similar, but not totality in the same. If you are if you're in an organization and you're looking through that lens, or you're in that platform, there's reasons that you ought to be aware. So we can share the same commonality that being aware is important. That's the first thing. Awareness is important. Also, too, let's take the conversation a step further. And this is a general conversation, again, giving everybody the ability to tether in and connect. The next step is, what is the reason why awareness is important, right? Well, it's important for a few reasons. Anything that you're aware of typically means you're paying attention to. Anything that you're aware of typically means you're paying attention to it, right? Give you an example, and then we'll kind of break that example down and really tie this all together. So the example could be with, let's say, I just recently got the cigar. Actually, we use the cigar, right? You could be aware that there's a cigar in this video, right? You see the cigar? Look at the color of the cigar. What color is it? You're aware of the color. You're aware of the label, right? Let me pull it out the plastic as well and see what else you can be aware of. So as I pull out the plastic, what else are you aware of? Pay attention to it. What else are you aware of? So this is the first example. Whatever you're aware of, you typically pay attention to. I took about 1 minute and 30 seconds for you guys to be aware of a cigar. However, pay attention to this. You weren't paying attention to anything else. Your attention wasn't on anything else. It wasn't on the calendar in the back. It wasn't on the sign that you see over here to my right? It wasn't on the mic. It wasn't on anything else. It should have been, or it probably was, on the cigar. So whatever you're aware of is where your attention goes. The next thing is, once your attention lands on a particular thing, keep it in mind, when I say thing, this is a very large concept, depending on how many layers you want to dive into it, right? But whatever your attention is on, whatever particular thing your attention is on, what happens is this: whatever you put your attention to, your senses start to gather information. They start to gather information, okay? So our ears, our eyes, everything, our senses is trying to pick up. It's aware, it's open. Our portals are open. It's open to assess information depending on how disciplined you are, depending on your past experiences, and depending on the objective of what you're paying attention to will determine what you typically come out of the situation with. Let me slow down and give you an attention. Let's go back to the cigar, right? So the cigar, you were paying attention to the cigar. Now, if I were to tell you this, you have 30 seconds to remember everything that is on the cigar. 30 seconds. Remember everything. 1, 2, 3, go. You have 30 seconds. Okay, so we're gonna assume that was 30 seconds, right? Stop, boom. Now, tell me, you can say it out loud or you can say it in your mind, what did you pay attention to? Tell me about the cigar. Okay, so essentially you would provide information. Some people may say it was brown and it had a label on it with gold and red, with red letters writing. Now, this is where I'm talking about now. Whatever you pay attention to, depending on the objective or your past experience, will typically give you the result. The objective was 30 seconds, pay attention to the cigar, and then tell me a little bit about it. So your whole attention was on trying to remember, to recall, to place into a place in your mind so that way you can be prepared at a future time to present the information. You are storing the information and taking in, very similar to a download, right? On phones, we download apps. Download, the application is on the device itself and you have access to the application because it's on the device. That's what happens once you start to pay attention to something and you add an objective and you have prior experiences. What it does is it allows you to actually interact with what you're paying attention to. So these are the different steps on the importance of awareness. So if you're looking to interact with anything in life, if you're trying to interact with being more successful as a parent, if you want to be more successful as a parent, you need to pay attention and be aware of what? Your children. Correct. Or the things that make your children grow and healthy, the things that make you healthy. Therefore, you have an ultimate connection. You need to pay attention, create an objective to what you're paying attention to. If you're a man and you're trying to become a better man, you need to pay attention to yourself and create an objective. The reason why I want to be a better man is X. And every time you pay attention to yourself, it's tying you in. It's downloading that application. So once that time period comes, you can apply these things. Again, these are plug and play information that I'm hoping you will be able to utilize for wherever in your life, right? Essentially, whatever. But ultimately, again, the goal is to have these quick tips to give you that we can tether this information together and create the results that we need in our lives. You guys stay wonderfully clear. Stay wonderfully clear with all that you do. And all that means is have clarity. Clarity means without distortion, clear, without distortion. And that requires your awareness. That requires your attention because you're only aware when you start to pay attention. You guys take care. Be blessed.